Texas state Republicans introduced a new congressional map for next year's midterms that will dilute the voting power of blacks and Hispanics for areas in and around Dallas, Houston, and Austin. If these maps are approved by the courts, it could create 5 new, heavily red congressional districts, making it much easier for the Republicans to control the House of Representatives. The new maps, of course, are endorsed by both Donald Trump and Texas Governor Greg Abbott. California Governor Gavin Newsom met with a delegation from Texas Democrats, urging Newsom to rewrite California's congressional maps in order for California to counterbalance Texas's gerrymandering. They would do this in California by sending more Democrats to Congress. Newsom warned on Thursday that if Texas does go through with these new maps, he will put a measure on the November ballot asking voters to decide whether the congressional maps for California should be redrawn to favor Democrats for the next 3 election cycles. And after that, the drawing of congressional maps would revert back to the independent commission set up back when Arnold was governor. So Newsom is sending a message to Texas. You rewrite the maps to favor Republicans. I'm going to rewrite the maps to favor Democrats. You might remember last year, Nebraska, which is not a winner-take-all state when it comes to the Electoral College, they have one district in Omaha that's blue. They were going to get rid of that district and become a winner-take-all state. Well, Maine said, if you do that, Nebraska will become a winner-take-all state as well and get rid of the red district that we have. There are 2 states, Maine and Nebraska, that are not winner-take-all in the Electoral College. NBC News first broke the story that Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is miserable and is seriously considering leaving the Pentagon to run for office in Tennessee. There are reports the Trump White House is pissed off with Hegseth for eyeing the exits after just a few months on the job. I mean, we threatened to kill so many Republican senators to get you confirmed, and just like that, you're going to quit? The ingratitude. New reporting now suggests that the Pentagon's Inspector General is about to conclude that Pete Hegseth did in fact share classified material during a Signal group chat in the lead up to U.S. airstrikes over Yemen back in March. The Inspector General reportedly has evidence that Hegseth was sharing information in real time on that group Signal chat. He was sharing information classified from an email marked top secret, an email coming from U.S. Central Command Head General Michael Eric Kurilla, who relayed the precise time and locations to Hegseth of F-18 launches and airstrikes over Yemen. Hegseth reportedly shared information from these classified emails on 2 separate Signal group chats, one with his wife and 2 brothers, and the other with Trump White House national security principals, along with Jeffrey Goldberg, the Atlantic Magazine journalist who was accidentally included in that Signal group chat by then National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, who was relieved of his post. He's no longer our National Security Advisor, and Trump immediately nominated him as our UN ambassador. His nomination cleared the Senate Foreign Relations Committee last week, and he now awaits scheduling for a full Senate vote. Calling Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu a disgusting liar, Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders introduced his 3rd resolution in less than a year to block arms sales to Israel. The resolution had 2 parts. One part would block sales of assault weapons to Israel. The other would block sales of bombs. The sales of bombs went down to defeat, so those sales are going through. But 24 Democrats voted to deny Israel more bombs. The sale of assault weapons also went down to defeat. Bernie's resolution failed, and they're selling assault weapons. But 27 Democrats voted to withhold assault weapons from Israel. Compare that to a similar resolution voted on in April. We're now seeing an uptick of about 12 more Democratic senators wanting to pull the plug on Israel until the starvation in Gaza ends. One of those Democrats who said they would flip is Senator Elissa Slotkin of Michigan. She is also said to be thinking of making a run for president in 2028. So she has always been for selling weapons to Israel. Now she's saying, I might consider voting against those arms sales. Now, Michigan is an important swing state. Remember, it has a large Arab population. And before the vote on Bernie's resolution to cut off weapons to Israel, Elissa Slotkin, Democratic senator from Michigan, said she would look at cutting off offensive weapons for Israel. She said she would take a serious look at this. In the past, she voted against cutting off weapons to Israel. Now she's saying she is prepared to vote against Israel. She said she was prepared to vote in favor of Bernie's resolution, but Slotkin did not show up for this vote because she was too busy appearing on Stephen Colbert's CBS late-night television show. However, after the two resolutions failed, Senator Elissa Slotkin said, had I been there, I would have voted to block the sales of offensive weapons to Israel, quote, based on my concerns over lack of food and medicine getting to civilians in Gaza, unquote. In other words, what's going on in Gaza is mass slaughter, a crime against humanity, which I am opposed to, but not as opposed to as missing a chance to appear on Stephen Colbert's talk show. I would have spoken out against mass starvation and did something, but I was booked on Colbert. The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good people too afraid to cancel their bookings on late-night television. That's pretty incredible. Russian airstrikes killed 25, injured 85 in a massive assault on 73 Ukrainian cities. A 23-year-old pregnant Ukrainian woman was killed after Russian missiles hit a hospital before she could give birth. Marco Rubio announced the State Department has approved $300 million in arms sales to Ukraine, and a bipartisan bill has been introduced by Senators Jeanne Shaheen, she's a Democrat from New Hampshire, and Lisa Murkowski, the Republican from Alaska. They've introduced a bill that would provide close to $55 billion in aid to Ukraine over the next 2 years. All this after Trump announced he's changed his mind, and the deadline for Putin to end the war in Ukraine is 12 days away, or else Putin will face severe repercussions. Here is exclusive video of Vladimir Putin reacting to Trump as Trump calls him on the phone to tell him the deadline to end the war in Ukraine is now fewer than 2 weeks away. I don't think Putin is afraid of Trump. I'm David Feldman reminding you to stay strong and protect the weak. I think that might have been artificial intelligence. I don't think that was Vladimir Putin.